What if everything we thought we knew about life in the ocean's deepest, most hostile environments was completely wrong? Deep beneath the Pacific waters off Vancouver Island, scientists have stumbled upon a discovery so extraordinary that it's forcing marine biologists to completely rethink how life thrives in Earth's most extreme conditions. We're talking about more than 1 million giant eggs, each nearly 2 feet long, scattered across the peak of what was supposed to be a dead underwater volcano. But here's where it gets controversial. This isn't just another feel-good nature story. The shocking discovery that changed everything. An underwater mountain previously assumed to be geologically dead is actually a thriving volcanic hotspot. Marine researchers uncovered an enormous breeding ground for giant skate rays in one of Earth's most inhospitable locations. Volcanic thermal energy is serving as a natural incubator for marine species in ways scientists never imagined. This finding is sparking heated debates about deep-sea mining versus ecosystem protection. Picture this. You're exploring what appears to be a barren underwater wasteland, nearly a mile beneath the ocean surface, where sunlight has never penetrated. The pressure would crush a human body in milliseconds, and temperatures hover just above freezing. Yet somehow, this seemingly lifeless volcanic peak is bustling with more reproductive activity than many tropical coral reefs. The volcano that refused to die. Back in 2019, Canadian marine researchers set out to investigate what they believed was simply another extinct seamount. Essentially an underwater mountain formed by ancient volcanic activity that had long since cooled and died. This particular giant rises an impressive 3,600 feet from the ocean floor, making it taller than many skyscrapers. What they found instead completely shattered their expectations. Rather than encountering a cold, dead rock formation, their instruments detected something that shouldn't exist. Streams of superheated, mineral-rich water pouring from the volcano's summit. This wasn't just any ordinary geothermal activity. This was a fully active underwater volcano that had somehow escaped scientific detection for decades. And this is the part most people miss. The volcanic activity wasn't just creating warm water. It was generating an entire ecosystem that operates on principles completely different from surface marine environments. The mineral-rich hot springs were feeding specialized bacteria, which in turn supported deep-sea corals, sponges, and countless other organisms that have adapted to thrive in what most life forms would consider a toxic environment. A million-egg mystery that defies explanation. The real shock came when researchers directed their cameras toward the volcano's peak. Scattered across the rocky summit like some bizarre underwater Easter egg hunt were hundreds of thousands, possibly over 1 million of massive translucent egg cases. Each protective casing measured nearly 20 inches in length, containing developing white skate ray embryos. To put this in perspective for those unfamiliar with marine biology, finding this many eggs in one location is like discovering that every penguin in Antarctica decided to nest in your backyard. White skate rays are typically solitary creatures that spread their reproduction across vast ocean areas. Yet here they were, congregating in numbers that marine biologists had never witnessed before. These aren't your typical fish eggs either. White skate rays invest enormous energy into creating these nutrient-packed, armored egg cases that can sustain developing embryos for up to 4 years in the frigid deep ocean. Think of them as the ultimate survival packages, each one containing everything a baby ray needs to survive in one of Earth's most challenging environments. But here's where it gets controversial. Some scientists are questioning whether this massive congregation represents natural behavior or If these rays are being forced into smaller habitats due to human activities like deep-sea fishing and underwater mining exploration, the volcanic advantage that changes everything. White skate rays normally inhabit the ocean's twilight zone, dwelling between 2,600 and 9,500 feet beneath the surface, where temperatures barely register above freezing. In these conditions, their eggs typically require 3 to 4 years to fully develop, an extraordinarily long incubation period that makes successful reproduction a remarkable achievement. Enter the volcano's secret weapon, natural geothermal heating. Marine biologist Charisse Dupreez explains that the consistent warmth generated by volcanic activity could dramatically accelerate the development process, potentially cutting incubation time in half or more. It's like these rays have discovered nature's version of a high-tech incubator, complete with temperature control and mineral-rich nutrients. The summit also provides something equally valuable, a relatively shallow refuge. While still nearly a mile underwater, this elevated platform offers young rays a safer environment to develop before they venture into the even deeper, more dangerous waters where adults typically hunt. This discovery raises fascinating questions about animal intelligence and instinct. How do these rays locate this volcanic nursery? Do they pass this knowledge between generations? Are we witnessing an ancient behavior that has been occurring for thousands of years? Or is this a recent adaptation to changing ocean conditions? Evolution's most extreme experiment. This underwater volcano represents something scientists call an extreme environment analog, a location that helps us understand how life might exist on other planets or in conditions we previously thought were impossible for complex organisms. Similar to the famous hydrothermal vents near the Galapagos Islands. This volcanic site hosts an intricate web of life that operates independently of sunlight-based photosynthesis. Instead, specialized bacteria convert chemical energy from volcanic minerals into food, forming the foundation of an entire ecosystem that functions like an alien world right here on Earth. The reproductive strategy we're witnessing represents millions of years of evolutionary fine-tuning. These rays have somehow developed the ability to detect volcanic activity from vast distances, navigate through complete darkness to reach this specific location, and time their reproduction to coincide with optimal thermal conditions. What's particularly remarkable is the scale of coordination required. For over 1 million eggs to be present simultaneously suggests that female rays from across the Pacific are somehow synchronized in their reproductive timing, a phenomenon that challenges our understanding of deep-sea animal behavior. The conservation controversy nobody wants to discuss. Here's where this discovery becomes genuinely controversial. This volcanic nursery sits directly in the path of proposed deep-sea mining operations. As global demand for rare earth metals increases, mining companies are eyeing the ocean floor with unprecedented interest. The same mineral-rich volcanic activity that makes this site perfect for ray reproduction also makes it attractive for commercial extraction of valuable metals like cobalt, nickel, and rare earth elements used in smartphones and electric car batteries. The uncomfortable question facing scientists and policymakers is this: how do we balance human technological needs with the protection of ecosystems we're only beginning to understand? Some researchers argue that we should immediately establish protected zones around such discoveries, while others contend that we need more data before making permanent conservation decisions. Meanwhile, mining companies point out that terrestrial mining often causes more environmental damage than carefully regulated deep-sea extraction. But here's the part that really gets heated. We have no idea how many similar sites exist or how interconnected these deep-sea ecosystems might be. Disturbing one volcanic nursery could potentially impact ray populations across entire ocean basins. What this means for the future of ocean exploration. This discovery represents just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what we don't know about deep-sea life. Current estimates suggest we've explored less than 5% of our planet's oceans, and discoveries like this volcanic nursery prove that extraordinary ecosystems exist in places we never thought to look. The technology used to make this discovery, including advanced underwater cameras, chemical sensors, and deep-sea submersibles, is becoming more sophisticated each year. As these tools improve, scientists expect to uncover many more hidden worlds beneath the waves. What makes this particularly exciting is the potential for medical and technological breakthroughs. Organisms that thrive in extreme conditions often produce unique compounds that could lead to new medicines, materials, or energy solutions. The bacteria living around this volcano, for example, might hold keys to developing more efficient geothermal energy systems or creating new types of heat-resistant materials. The questions that keep scientists awake at night. As research continues around this remarkable site, several critical questions emerge that could reshape our understanding of marine life. How many other volcanic nurseries exist in unexplored ocean regions? If this behavior is widespread, it suggests that volcanic activity plays a much larger role in marine reproduction than previously understood. Are these rays responding to climate change by seeking out warmer breeding grounds? As ocean temperatures shift, traditional breeding areas might be becoming unsuitable, forcing these ancient creatures to adapt their reproductive strategies. What happens to the ecosystem if volcanic activity changes? Underwater volcanoes can become more or less active over time, potentially disrupting the delicate balance that supports this nursery. Could similar volcanic nurseries exist for other deep-sea species? This discovery opens the possibility that many marine animals we consider rare or endangered might actually be thriving in hidden volcanic refuges. The uncomfortable truth about ocean conservation. Here's something most environmental organizations won't tell you. Protecting deep-sea ecosystems is exponentially more challenging than conserving terrestrial habitats. Unlike forests or grasslands that we can monitor with satellites, deep-sea environments require expensive technology and specialized expertise to even access, let alone study comprehensively. The cost of conducting thorough research at sites like this volcanic nursery can exceed millions of dollars per expedition. This creates a troubling paradox. The ecosystems that might need protection most urgently are also the most expensive to study and monitor. Meanwhile, commercial interests with significantly larger budgets are actively exploring the same areas for resource extraction opportunities. The international legal framework for protecting deep-sea environments is also remarkably weak. Most of these ecosystems exist in international waters where no single country has jurisdiction, making coordinated conservation efforts politically complicated and enforcement nearly impossible. So here's the controversial question that's dividing the scientific community. Should we establish broad protective measures based on limited data, or continue researching while potentially allowing irreversible damage to occur? The bigger picture that changes everything, this volcanic nursery discovery forces us to confront an uncomfortable reality about our relationship with the ocean. Despite covering more than 70% of our planet's surface, the deep sea remains more mysterious to us than the surface of Mars. Every major deep-sea expedition uncovers species, behaviors, or ecosystems that challenge our existing scientific understanding. This suggests that our current conservation models, based primarily on surface and shallow water environments, might be fundamentally inadequate for protecting deep-sea biodiversity. The implications extend beyond marine biology into climate science, geology, and even astrobiology. If life can thrive in such extreme conditions on Earth, it dramatically expands the possibilities for life existing in similar environments throughout the universe. What happens next could determine the ocean's future, as we stand at this critical juncture between discovery and development. The decisions made about sites like this volcanic nursery will establish precedents for how humanity approaches deep-sea conservation for generations to come. The technology exists to extract valuable resources from these environments, but we're only beginning to understand what we might be destroying in the process. The question isn't whether we have the capability to exploit these resources, but whether we have the wisdom to balance economic interests with ecological preservation. Some scientists advocate for a moratorium on deep-sea mining until we better understand these ecosystems. Others argue that responsible extraction, guided by scientific research, could provide both resources and knowledge. Still others contend that the deep sea represents our last opportunity to establish truly protected wilderness areas before commercial interests make conservation impossible. The questions that demand your opinion. This discovery raises profound questions that extend far beyond marine biology, touching on ethics, economics, and our responsibility as planetary stewards. If we discovered that disturbing this nursery could collapse skate ray populations across the Pacific, would that be enough to halt all deep-sea mining in the region? Or would we need to prove broader ecosystem impacts before taking such dramatic action? Should the precautionary principle guide our approach to deep-sea conservation, meaning we protect first and ask questions later? Or is it more responsible to gather comprehensive data before making irreversible policy decisions? How do we balance the immediate human need for resources like rare earth metals with the long-term health of ecosystems we don't fully understand? Most importantly, what gives us the right to make these decisions for species and ecosystems that existed long before humans appeared on Earth? The answers to these questions will determine not just the fate of one volcanic nursery, but the entire future relationship between human development and deep-sea conservation. What do you think? Are we approaching deep-sea exploration with appropriate caution, or are we repeating the same mistakes that led to widespread environmental destruction on land? Should economic considerations ever outweigh the protection of unique ecosystems like this volcanic nursery? The conversation starts now, and your voice could help shape how humanity approaches these critical decisions. Because ultimately, discoveries like this force us to confront a fundamental question. What kind of planetary stewards do we choose to be?